And look who is joining us from beautiful Palm Springs, California. Folks, you got Jim times two. Jim J. Bullock is here, star of stage, screen, television, film, and so much more. He's come into our lives for a long time to entertain, inspire, make us think, make us laugh, make us cry. Jim, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you bearing with me with my technical challenges.
You love the technology, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a little crazy. So you're in Palm Springs where it's 130 degrees, right? And that's a cool day.
Yeah, no, actually, it wasn't bad today. It was only 103. But yesterday was 113, 14. So, yeah, we're in it. It's the summer.
It's the summer. When did you first move to Palm Springs? How long ago?
I moved here in 2018, at the end of 2018. I lived in LA for what, 45 years?
Yeah, right.
And I loved LA, but it was really time for me to leave and I'm I'm older and LA's just kind of moved on and you know, when you're over 60, you feel, like, oh dear God, so I came here. Well, I'm still on the younger side of life,
That's right.
and
And
I actually love it. Life is slower here, but there's plenty to do.
there's what's a typical day for Jim J. Bullock in Palm Springs? If
Well,
there is a typical day.
I get up and I have coffee with Barney and Sandy, my dog and my cat. And oh no, the first thing I do is I walk Barney. So I have to walk Barney. I have to get up early to walk Barney because it's so hot. So I walk Barney, and then I come back and have coffee, and then I go to the gym, and then I do with my day whatever I'm going to do with my day. Lately, it's been wallpapering. But I'm done with my wallpapering job, and there's probably paint all over my hands. But yeah, I'm done with it. So that's all good.
Wait, you actually told me that before we went on live that you're wallpapering. You actually are? Are you wallpapering a living room? What's the project right now, Jim?
No, I was just wallpapering my office. What you're seeing in the back is it's this grass wallpaper. I am a frustrated HGTV personality. I mean, had HGTV been around when I was younger, I definitely would have been on HGTV for because I love to decorate. I love building things. I'm very crafty, and I love doing hands-on things. And I've wallpapered my whole life. I mean, my God, I think I wallpapered the first thing I ever wallpapered when I was like 13. I wallpapered my bedroom with lions and tigers and things. That was very cool. So yeah, so I do things. I love to do my own projects, and I keep busy with projects. So
That's a
that's all good.
really, yeah, absolutely. That's terrific. So you've been doing that a long time, and that's amazing. In doing the research and going back, because you've had such an illustrious career and you've touched our lives truly. And I know you've heard this from many, but it is true. You've been always so open and so real and so authentic and funny, and you're a gifted talent, and you've mastered the stage, mastered film, mastered television in a way that just really excites people, but also it's very infectious. You're warm and you're empathetic and you're compassionate in a way that I don't think any other way. It's Jim being Jim, and it really and everything you've done, it just shines through.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I feel like it was a eulogy.
Well, actually, when I did the intro for Ruta Lee, talking about her career, she said that's the best damn obituary I ever heard. And when that day comes, I want you to be there to read it.
I love her so
Isn't
much.
she a hoot? Were you at her
Ruta,
90th event at the 90th?
I don't think I was at her 90th event. I think that was in LA. Well, probably one of the celebrations was in LA. But I see Ruta out. I actually worked with Ruta a couple of years ago on a local Christmas special that we were both on. And I just see her out all the time. And it's like, Ruta, Ruta. Oh my God, where do you get this energy? I mean, she's so young. I just love that. She's
She
not slowed
is.
down at all.
Not at all. We had her on recently, and she was a trooper. We had a bunch of people on to remember Wink Martindale and celebrate Wink's life. We did a couple of tribute shows to Wink Martindale, Peter Marshall, and many others. And she was just a trooper. And the stories that she can tell, she's amazing. I tell you.
Speaking of Wink Martindale, I have a funny story about Wink Martindale. I was at Wink and Sandy's. They renewed their vows. This is like, oh, 30 years ago. And it was at some big fancy schmancy home, I think out in Malibu, if I'm getting this correct. And Danny Thomas was hosting it. And there was an orchestra and everything. And I found out they wanted me to sing. And I love to sing, but I was terrified to sing. So I literally went and hid in Sandy's closet, and I could hear Danny Thomas going, uh, "Jim Bullock, are you here? Are you around? We want you to come up here." And it was like I stayed in there until I felt it was safe to come out. And so, you know, anyway, I didn't sing at Wink and Sandy's anniversary thing or renewals or whatever it was.
But you were there on site.
I was there and Danny Thomas was looking for me.
What interested you in the arts, in entertainment, in acting, in performance early on? You, of course, you grew up in beautiful Casper, Wyoming, and raised in Odessa, Texas, and you were raised in a Southern Baptist home. So faith and religion were very strong within the home. And you even had this plan early on to be an evangelical Christian minister, and you received a music scholarship to attend Oklahoma Baptist University. Um, how did that switch, or how did you incorporate the arts into what you wanted to do going forward, Jim?
Well, I think I wanted, I look back and I think I wanted to be, I found out that being funny, I was popular, I was accepted, it got me attention. And so I thought, I want more of this. So um, I wanted to be famous. And, I grew up on TV and sitcoms. And I thought, why can't I do that? And so I did go to college on a scholarship to become an evangelistic singer. And thank God for all people concerned that that did not happen. But when I was at OBU, I did a production of Godspell, and Godspell was so instrumental in my life, and it really made me realize that I could use my humor and I could use my voice and I could just be who I was. And so I decided to go professional or to go for it professionally. So I moved out to LA because uh, I was familiar with LA more than New York. I'd never been to New York, and New York scared me. But I had been to LA because my brother was in the Marines, and my mom and dad would bring me and Dan out here, and so I came out to LA in 1977 at 22 years old, and luckily fell into the hands of an insane agent who really encouraged me to do stand up. And I did not want to do stand up, but because I wanted a sitcom, she said, if you want a sitcom, then you need to do stand up. And she was so right on. She was crazy, but she was so right on. And because it was the late 70s and everything was coming out of the Comedy Store and the Improv. So I went and auditioned at the Comedy Store and the Improv, and I became a regular right away. And then Too Close for Comfort happened like a year after that. It was very fast. It happened very fast. It was very exciting.
People may not remember that part of your career, the stand-up comedian, right? And that comedic
Oh,
timing and the Comedy Store. Who were some of the contemporaries that were there at the Comedy Store when you were performing? I'm sure lots of
oh,
legends you bumped into, huh?
oh my God! You name it: Billy Crystal, Steve Martin, Robin Williams, Jay Leno, David Letterman. I mean, it goes on, and Sandra Bernhard. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of the people that were doing stand up at the time, and you would just walk in any night of the week, and it might be a 11:45 spot or something, and uh, Robin Williams would come in, and he was doing Mork and Mindy at the time. But the Comedy Store was a huge launching platform for him, and these people would come in and do try out new material. And my first showcase for ABC was at the Comedy Store, and right before they brought me up, Steve Martin dropped in and wanted to try some new material. And I was like, oh my God, Steve Martin is going up before me in my showcase for ABC. But you know what? It was a great lesson for me because I just sort of collected myself as much as I could. And I went, you know what? I'm not Steve Martin. I'm not competing against Steve Martin. I am Jim Bullock. And what I have to offer is different from what he has to offer. So just go up and do your thing. And I did. And I killed. And so that was really great because that led to other showcases and then eventually a contract that got me to Close for Comfort.
Which is amazing. What happened? Was somebody in the audience one night and they saw you doing your thing and said he would be great on television, fabulous on a sitcom? How did that come where Too Close to Comfort comes knocking on your door?
Yeah, well, they ABC thought, this guy is crazy, and I was crazy. I was certifiable. I mean, I had so much. My energy has always been my biggest asset, and my energy was just unleashed back then. It was the best thing I had going for me, and so you never knew what was going to happen when I got up on stage. But the ABC said we need to put this guy on contract and see what we can find for him. So when you go on contract, you're on contract for a year, and you get paid some money, which is really sweet. And then they try to fit you into shows they have. They had Mork and Mindy, they had Laverne and Shirley. They kept trying to put me in these different shows. And then here's this Monroe character on Too Close for Comfort that, yeah, there I am. And so I went in and read for that, and I got it. And it was just two guaranteed episodes. That's all that I had going into this. But Ted really saw the connection that we had and the chemistry that we had, and the producers also. And they latched onto me and brought me in as a regular shortly after. So I was on that show for 6 years.
You were perfect
Crazy.
for it. Yeah, you really added a spark to it, and you were, the yin to Ted's yang, and here he comes off from being Ted Baxter of those years on Mary Tyler Moore, and still had little elements of that in that role as you were playing, of course, Monroe, in his role too, and just the yin and the yang. You guys were. It was perfect casting. Everybody in that series, I know we chatted with Lydia, and she's going to be hopefully coming on real soon too. She's a big fan of our show. She likes to watch, and we love her. And I know you're a dear friend of hers as well. And all of you were perfectly asked. And then they bring in Audrey Meadows too.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
what was that like?
Oh, well, Audrey, she was just absolutely a class act. I mean, she always came to rehearsals, and anytime you ever saw her, she was done up. I mean, she had the most beautiful dresses, the most beautiful outfits, and her hair and makeup was always done. She'd come into rehearsal, like on a Tuesday in full dress and, makeup and hair and everything. And she just was so glamorous. And she would regale all of us with stories of the Jackie Gleason show and the honeymooners, and what it was like for her when she started with that show, and how she was so nervous she memorized everybody's lines. And what, back then the curtain went up and you were live in front of half the nation, because there were only three networks. So you were at least a third of the nation was watching, and that
That's
curtain
right.
went up and it was live.
That's right. And
And
Jackie didn't like to rehearse, so she had to
no.
remember everybody's lines, right?
So yeah, so he went up many times and she saved him. She, pulled him right back to where the script was and everything. And he got used to that. And so she said from that moment on, I had to learn not only my lines, but his lines, because he would go up and he had the most uncanny way of making it look like it was your fault. you know.
Right. Bang, zoom, exactly right.
Uh,
But yeah, the addition of her, and of course Nancy Dressel, and the whole,
oh, I
it
love
was just,
Nancy.
it's really such a beloved series that still airs today.
It
People
does.
still, yeah, which is amazing. You never know when you're on a show if it's going to be a hit. But what was it like working with Ted? Ted was a unique character, originally from Hartford, Connecticut, a New England boy. He just was a wonderful spirit. Again, you guys worked so beautifully together on that series. And then, of course, we lost him to cancer way, way too early. And I would imagine, almost like a father figure in a way, maybe a mentor in a way for you. And when he passed, I'm sure it was something you took deeply to.
Yeah, no, I was terrified when I found out that I was going to be working with Ted, because there were these horror stories that were going around about shows like Laverne and Shirley, to where, a guest artist would come on, and if you had really funny lines and everything, by the end of the week, uh, they had taken those lines from you and given them to the stars of the show, so they shined even more. So Monroe's Doctrine was the very first script I did, and it was really funny. And I thought, oh, I just know he's not going to let me have all this. He's going to, you know, take it and do it himself. But I have to say, Ted wanted every one of us to be the best we could possibly be, because the best we all were, it was better for the whole. And so he was thrilled that I could carry what I had been given. And he said to me many times, he said, I see myself in you when I was younger, and I really, want to help you make the right choices and decisions, because this is so fast. Everything goes so very fast. So Ted really was a father figure to me in many ways in show business, because my dad worked in the oil field, and so we had, I knew nothing. My family couldn't give me any advice. They knew nothing. But it was really lovely of Ted to really care and want me to succeed in this business. So I'm very grateful for that.
Which is a beautiful thing. Like you said, it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's something you take with you forever. One of the beautiful things too is, sometimes a lot of people always say, do the cast stay together? Do they stay in communication, or do they just go in different directions? And a lot of casts, because of life and busyness and things that get in the way, or whether they do or do not get along, they just dissipate. But you and wonderful Lydia have stayed dear friends, huh?
Oh
Which
yeah.
I'm sure the viewers are very happy to know that and hear that.
Yes, I love Lydia and Deborah and Nancy. The three of us are still in touch, very much so. And that's she was just here at my house a couple of years ago.
Isn't she a great
Uh,
spirit?
she's got a fabulous spirit. Lydia's just got the best spirit. Oh no, my neighbor just came up. Uh,
Oh,
hey,
really?
I'm doing an interview. Oh no.
Not every neighbor can say that. You want
Can
to
you?
invite them in?
Hey,
Yeah,
Bob,
you have
I'm doing an interview on the phone right now. Oh
I'm on the
God, what
Jim
the hell
Masters
is that?
show.
I don't know what that's for.
Is he coming?
Oh, okay.
Is he coming
Uh,
over with a bunt cake? Boy, you've got
he just gave
neighbors.
me $100 bill, so I
Uh,
don't really know what this is for.
oh,
Anyway,
oh, that's the one that we gave him to give you. You got
oh,
it? Good.
oh
Thank
my
you. What's
God,
his
that
name?
Bob
Bob,
Ross. Oh my God,
Bob, thank you very
Bob
much.
and Nancy Ross are my neighbors, and so
Wait, Bob Ross is your neighbor? He must love your wallpapering.
he's a great guy. He's always
That is
dropping by. His
fantastic.
dog Otis loves Barney, and so they're little play buddies. And so anyway, Otis wasn't with him.
That
So
is
there you
fun.
go.
See, at Jim's house, you never know who's going to stop by. He always has his own guest stars as neighbors.
And let me tell you, where I live, it is a sitcom for sure.
And his neighbors pay him. They pay to enter his house to say hello, give him 100, then they leave.
Oh
I
my
love it.
God.
How do you have that set up? I need some of that action.
I know. No, I got some great neighbors, but
Neighbors could come on in. The door's unlocked. Come on in.
so
Uh,
funny.
so yeah, Lydia, you were saying she's a wonderful spirit, and
Lydia is a
yeah,
great spirit,
yeah,
as is Deborah and Nancy. I mean, the fact that we all are still in each other's lives, what, 45 years? Oh my God, 45 years. That's a remarkable. It's
it
really
is.
remarkable.
It is, isn't it? Somebody else too that was a dear friend of ours and our show, and of course, we who somebody we lost. There's so many people we've lost, but the wonderful Judy Tenuta.
Oh my God, I love Judy. Oh my God, I didn't.
She was here on our show a lot. We had so much fun with her. We had her we did a happy birthday episode celebrating her, saying happy birthday. She was just a real, the two of you in the same room, it's like pow, the energy. God.
Judy and I worked out at the same gym back in the 90s.
Did you?
Yeah. And let me tell you, when she would come in, the atmosphere of that gym, because it's like it was a pretty intense, like in training gym. Like you had to have a trainer to even go to that gym. So it wasn't like people just, screwing around. Judy would come in and she would turn the gym upside down. And I just loved it because you got all these serious bodybuilders that are, grunting and, pushing as much weight as they possibly can. And in comes Judy Tenuta. She was fabulous. She was another one with the spirit of an angel.
Absolutely right, Jim. She really was, and she's dearly and deeply missed. And then comes Prince Valiant's Spaceballs, and that incredible hilarity. How did that come your way?
Oh my God. Went over to MGM to read for Mel Brooks. I knew
Mm,
nothing of the show or anything about the character.
yeah.
And I was so nervous because, Mel
Mm,
Brooks.
hmm.
And I remember going into his office and I talked about my energy earlier. And sometimes it worked against me because I would get so out of control. You would think I was on crack, but I was just crazy with my energy, just crazy. And I couldn't land. I couldn't even do a reading for him. I was splitting all over his office. I mean, it was like insane. And he said to me that at that meeting, he said, "Kid, I don't know what the hell you do, but I'm going to give you this role." And so that's how it came about. And I mean, looking at back on it, all I do is yawn. I think I had like three words, like "come back," something like that. But and you know what? Spaceballs, when it came out, it did not do
hit.
well, and it did not hit. It did not do well in box office. And the critics didn't like it, but boy, it became a cult classic. And it still, I just opened a residual check from the Spaceballs, and it's like, thank you, Spaceballs. And now they're making Spaceballs too.
Isn't that amazing? There's a lot of things that are coming back. I know they're doing a remake of Little House on the Prairie. We've had the Little House on the Prairie stars on too, and that's coming back. And people want nostalgia, they want retro, they want the world's a crazy place right now, and they're looking for things that make them feel comfortable and secure and safe and happy and take them
Yeah.
away from all the nutty stuff. So they're watching Too Close for Comfort and Spaceballs and all of these things, right?
Yeah, you were so right, Jim. That is, it takes you back to a more carefree time, a time where the world wasn't so effing crazy. It's just crazy right now, and so I think people are longing for that. And you know what? Thank God. I mean, I think Spaceballs 2 will be. I mean, Spaceballs is so stupid, but you know what? I think stupid will work right now. But funny stupid, in a great way.
Right.
So
not
it's
not the other stupid,
not
right?
the other stupid, but funny stupid.
But the funny
Funny
stupid.
stupid.
Exactly right. Well, that energy again, you are known for, and you've been in so many great television shows and multitude of game shows and
Oh
film.
my God.
But the one of the folks that you had an opportunity, and again, the pairing of the energy and the spirit. I watched it. I've watched all these things we're talking about, and I've always enjoyed and admired your work. But this pairing I thought was so unique because I had been very familiar with her for years through the PTL Club, Charlotte, North Carolina, Heritage USA, Jim and Tammy Baker, and of course the movie recently. We had Steve Peters on too, the Reverend that she spoke to in the '80s, and he was a dear soul as well. But
Yes.
Tammy Faye Baker Mesner, Tammy Faye. When did you find out that they wanted to pair the two of you, wacky and funny and caring and loving souls, together and actually put a series together?
Well, let me say, I knew nothing about the PTL. I would
Oh,
watch PTL to laugh at
right.
Tammy. I mean, she was the calling card, and so we would tune in. My friends would tune in, and we would watch her, and then the whole thing happened, the fall of PTL in 1987 or something, and I remember a friend of mine and I were driving across country, and we were in, is it North Carolina, South Carolina, where uh, Heritage, is it Heritage?
Yeah, Heritage USA. So
Her,
right, South Mill, South Carolina. Yeah, like on the North Carolina
yes,
South Carolina border, sort of. Right. Yep.
yes. So
Yeah.
we went to the amusement park or whatever it was called. That was, but by this time it had already the 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 fall had happened. So the gift shops were like selling everything at way discounted prices. And I bought some Tammy Faye pantyhose that I still have in the package, and I bought some Tammy Faye hand lotion, which was in a little bottle with Tammy Faye's face on it, but it was Jergens. You can smell Jergens. Jergens has its own smell, and it was just Jergens lotion put in his hand,
With
and
the
and and, and
labeling of
then
Tim.
yes, and then there were these creepy dolls that were like 3 feet tall, a
Yes.
Tammy doll,
Yes, the
but
Tammy doll, right?
yes, and I wish I would have. It was like a $300 doll, and it was marked down to like 120. But I went, I'm not going to spend $120 for a stupid Tammy doll, unknowing. So anyway, I still have the pantyhose. So cut to 1994 or five, and I'm contacted by Dan Weaver at Fox Labs, which was a division of Fox Television, and said, "Hey, we have a idea in mind for you, and I would like to meet with you. Would you meet with me?" So I went and I met with him, and he said, "We're thinking about doing a talk show, and you as the co-host with a woman." And we had this whole meeting, and it's like, who are you talking about? And I'm sitting there, like my mind's like a Rolodex going, Is it, Nancy Dussault? Who is it? I mean, and finally he says, "We're thinking of pairing you with Tammy Faye Baker Mesner." And I'm like, my, he said, "What do you think of that?" And I can't say it on air, but I said, "She's effing crazy." And so he said, "Well, would you be willing to meet with her?" And I said, "Oh my God, I'm gay. Of course I would love to meet her." And so they brought me and Tammy to the Fox studios, and we met. And I remember when she walked in the office, I I I was sort of struck by how beautiful she was. Her skin was like porcelain, and I mean, her hair was a tragedy, but her eyes were crystal beautiful blue eyes, and she was so pretty, and I didn't ever realized that she was so pretty. But anyway, they threw a couple of tabloids at us, and they had a handheld, VHS camera or whatever it was called back then. And they said, "Give us a host chat and a beginning and a middle and an end to your talk show." And we sat there and we went with it. And it was under fluorescent lighting and some fake potted plant in the background. And uh, then they started putting this in their, when they would show like focus groups. And they would show focus groups like, "Here's our new lineup for the fall. And here are these $1 million produced budget projects." And then they would throw in this piece of shit tape that they had done in that office that day of me and Tammy, and overwhelmingly, people were like, "That's what I want to see more of, is the Jim J. Tammy Faye show." And so it went into product. It went into didn't go into production. It went into development. We worked on it for about a year, and then it finally went into production. And unfortunately, we only did 50 episodes with Tammy, which might sound like a lot, but it's not on a daily show because of her cancer. And then she had to leave the show. And when she left, Ann Abernathy, a very capable woman, came in to take Kenny's place, but it had lost its mojo. It wasn't the same. And so we did another 100 episodes, which sounds like a lot, but again, it should have gone for years. It was before Rosie. It was before Ellen. It was before there was really funny stuff in daytime. Yeah, all the talk shows on TV were heavy hitters, like "You're my brother, my sister, my wife, my daughter," that kind of stuff. And here is this show with me and Tammy that was comedy driven and just ridiculous things like a jump rope contest. It was very Pee Wee's Adventure on a 5 day a show, 5 day a week basis. I don't know why they don't release those episodes. I mean, they'd kill.
You mean there's more episodes that haven't been seen?
Oh, there's a whole library of
Oh,
episodes
wow.
that did air,
Y-
but they've never released them. They've never put them in syndication.
Oh boy,
So
wow. I didn't
they're in
realize that.
some, yeah, in some vault somewhere, and it's really unfortunate because they were really unique and fabulous. And we
Yeah.
had a hard time getting celebrities because celebrities were scared of what the show was. They did not want to come on and be on some, Jesus show. And at the same time, they was like, "But wait a minute, this Jim J. Bullock character is openly gay." And so we had a tough time booking, celebrities, but we got a few. But we made the most of what we had
You
to make
did.
the most of, and we really had so much fun.
And the production quality got better and better as it went along. I was watching that. It really, the look of the set and the camera angles and the graphics, and it just got better and better and better, and had so much hope. And like you said, she fell ill. Now, with her deep faith and your faith-based upbringing, did you guys click in that way too? Did your faith bring you together, and did you actually become close or friendly off and on the show?
Oh, that's such a good question, Jim. And yes, the answer is yes. I understood Tammy and where she came from. Uh, and because that's where I came from. You know, I had changed a lot, evolved. I'm going to say evolved, because merely because I'm a gay man, and I had to evolve from what I was brought up with, and get away from that self hatred that I was taught to feel the way I was supposed to feel about homosexuality. So I had formed my own faith. I'm still a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ for sure. But I had, I wasn't buying, I wasn't drinking the Kool Aid. And so, Tammy, was still very much entrenched in that. And I will say that because of our show and because of the gay community loving her so much and giving her a another life after the fall of PTL. She evolved quite a bit, but I do know that back in PTL times, she was evolved enough to go and talk to the gentleman you were talking about earlier. What was his name, Jim? Uh, who,
Oh,
who,
Steve Peters,
yeah,
Reverend Steve
Steve.
Peters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in spite of what uh, the church
And
and what,
they got a lot of flack for doing that interview, but it
absolutely.
was a beautiful thing that inspired a lot of people.
Absolutely. Tammy's faith was so real, and she was so genuine with her belief and her love, and she was not judgmental in any way. She always said, "I've had stones thrown at me. I know what that's like to be on the receiving end of that, and I am not here to throw stones. I am here to love." And that came through so very clearly with Tammy.
Absolutely. Like I was saying, and just going through the memories of all the amazing things you've done and continue to do as well. The wonderfully interesting airline flight attendant on Seinfeld, perfectly cast as well. And they need you on some of these crazy flights that are happening lately, where people are just going nuts on the airlines and trying to jump out the window and fighting and pulling hair and all this. They need you. I
Um,
think the airlines need you in there, straighten it all out.
it's God love flight attendants because they have to put up with stuff that
Yeah,
we never even imagined.
right.
But I will say that for many years after that Seinfeld episode, I had flight attendants that would come up to me all the time, going, "You're my hero, you're my hero," because you did what I always want to do, but I can't because I'm a flight attendant and I can't, be rude to someone. But I love it that you got to be that voice for us. So it was a great episode to get to do. And again, who knew that that would become one of the standout episodes of the Seinfeld series?
Exactly right. People remember it well, and they refer to it, and it's a real hoot. And so much of what you've done, again, has touched us in so many different ways. Even Ned's Classified Survival Guide, Mr. Monroe.
Yeah, yeah, I love
That
that show.
was that great?
That
Yeah.
was such a clever show and very ahead of its time. And, just 15-minute episodes, which is perfect for someone like me who is ADD. But no, and again, we're getting to work with such talented, you know, actors was
Mm.
such a pleasure. And great writing was, it was a joy to do.
Another one too, of course, that was a big hit on Fox. you were in Glee as well, which
Oh
is
yeah,
yeah,
well.
another one, Glee, and several episodes of daytime drama, The Bold and the Beautiful, too. People, of
Oh
course, recall,
Lord,
right?
Sergey,
Did you enjoy this?
Sergey.
Did you enjoy being on the soaps? Was that perfect for you, Jim?
You know, soap work is hard. I mean, because it's so fast paced. You know, it's like
That's right.
you get
Everybody
your
tells me
script.
that. Yeah,
Yes,
your
and
list
I
thick.
was. Yes, and I you know, I didn't have I didn't have a ever a lot of lines to memorize like a lot of those actors. I mean, they would have pages and pages of dialogue. And then at the last minute, they would change the dialogue and they'd give them new pages and they'd go, here, we're doing this in 5 minutes, or we're doing it right now. And they were just had trained their brains to a way where it's just like you look at it, it goes in your head and it comes out your mouth. And that was incredible to witness. I never accomplished that, but
But you were on
I
several episodes. Yeah.
I did enjoy my time on The Bold and the Beautiful.
A lot of people, we've had several soap actors and actresses on, or daytime dramas. And they say if you can make it on a soap, if you can make it through the dialogue and all the crazy changes and the hours, because, it's 5 days a week. And some of these have been on 20, 30 years. And sometimes you're on for a long time. Um, it's great training for other things you do later if you can survive the soaps, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible. It's like boot camp for an actor. I mean, if you can do that, you can do anything really, as far as acting is concerned. I think.
Also, if you work with Alf too.
Oh my God, Alf.
Do you know my mother has the Alf doll? She sent away and got it. She has the Alf doll, and she also has, there was the commercials for that laundry detergent, Snuggle, the teddy bear. She has the
Yeah.
Snuggle and she has the Alf. I've got the I Dream of Jeannie bottle and the Gilligan from Dream Denver, Bob Denver's wife, the bobblehead of Bob Denver. But yeah, she's got the Alf. And what was it like working with cast and crew on that series?
That was an interesting job.
Yeah,
I'm going to preface it by saying this. Was I felt wrong for the part. And I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
that the guy who was up against me was so much better. But I was coming off Hollywood Squares, so I guess my career was kind of hot, and they hired me, and then they tried to change me, and it was frustrating for me because it was like, well, you hired me, so you obviously liked what I do, but now you're trying to change that, and so that was frustrating for me. It was also coming from Hollywood Squares, which it was tic tac toe. So it's like boom, 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 boom. You move so fast, and it's so fun, and you're all over the place. To working on a show where it's a puppet, and so we're gonna make a move for Alf to go from the table to the sofa. So that would take 4 hours because the set was built up on risers, and so they would have to literally dig a tunnel so that the puppet tears could be under the floor holding Alf up, and it was so slow. It was just painfully slow. And to make everything worse, I used to smoke, and I had quit smoking when I got out, and everyone on that show smoked. Aside from the kids, I don't know, they might have smoked, but people smoked on the set. Like I smoked on Too Close for Comfort, but Ted was like, "Oh no, you take that out of here. You do not smoke in this studio." So we'd have to go on the loading dock. Audrey Meadows, we were all on the loading docks, smoking. But on Alf, they would call cut, and I mean those actors had those cigarettes stashed away in every drawer and every cabinet on that set, and they'd light up. And here I am, you know, jonesing for a cigarette, trying to stay off of them. I didn't stay off of them. I went back and smoked for another, I don't know, 10 years, but I quit in 2009. So I'm off of them. for good.
Well, it's funny because in this shot, it looks like you're almost saying, "Are we done with this 10th take? Can I go get the cigarette now?"
No, I know I wish I could say wonderful things about that time for me, but it was really not that much fun because I'd come from such fun environments, wonderful environments. And anyway,
You mentioned, of course, Hollywood Squares, and John Davidson is a dear friend, and he's been on the show multiple times. And
oh, I love John.
he's got this beautiful place up in New Hampshire, Club Sandwich, the venue that he started, and
Yes.
we've been up there to see him every summer and fall because we're here in the Northeast New York area. How did the opportunity to come your way to be a part of Hollywood Squares during those years as well? And again, you knocked it out of the park on that too.
Well, there I am with Alf. There, Alf is in my square because I usually uh, was in the upper right hand square. So that came about because, like you had mentioned, I had done there, back in the 80s, there were game shows, game shows, game shows. And every weekend, as an actor on a series, if you were funny and good and would, had that energy like I had, I was every weekend I was doing another game show. And Hollywood Squares Match Game came back, Battle Stars, and then Hollywood Squares Match Game. And I went on Hollywood Squares Match Game, and that was Peter Marshall. And anyway, I guess I made an impression with the producers. And then when Hollywood Squares came about, the 1980s version with Joan Rivers and Shadow Stevens and John Davidson and myself, uh, they called me up and they said we would love to have you come on and guest star on the show, and I never left. I mean, it was it was a perfect marriage for me. Perfect.
I know somebody that you always admired but never got a chance to meet, who really was a unique character and a beloved figure on television and more game shows, movies. Paul Lynde.
No,
Um, what was it about Paul Lynde that sort of stood out for you? He was an interesting soul. Not everybody got him, but if you did, you understood the essence of who he was. He was somebody quite interesting and funny. And, he had his other sides, as everybody does, but he was just really, he's not only legendary, but he's just a part of our lives in such a way that when there's nobody like him, there's nobody that has ever come into our lives that was like a Paul Lynde.
I agree. Paul, I didn't watch Hollywood Squares in the 70s, uh, but I did watch Bewitched, and he was Uncle Arthur on Bewitched.
Uncle
And
Arthur, yeah.
I became a fan of his on that show. I'll never forget one of the episodes where he was in a pot and uh, Samantha took the lid off, and he goes, "I'm a stowaway," or whatever. Anyway, I started imitating Paul and doing an impersonation of Paul, and I was pretty good. And then I was cast in a high school, my senior production of Bye Bye Birdie, and I played Mr. McAfee, the role he originated on Broadway and in the film. And I just did him. I just bluntly did a Paul Lynde impersonation. And I have to say this. So this is in Odessa, Texas, and uh, there was a guy who came to Odessa because his mother lived there, and he was there that weekend, and he was actually Paul Lynde's assistant, and such a lovely man. And he came to see Bye Bye Birdie and was so taken by my impersonation of Paul Lynde that he called up Paul and said, "You have to catch a plane to Odessa, Texas this weekend to see this production of Baba Birdie because this kid is doing you better than anyone I've ever seen do you." Well, Paul was in uh, Las Vegas doing Hollywood Squares, and didn't get to come. But he did send an autographed picture to my high school, which was really, really sweet. And Hal Berry, who was his assistant, and I became really, really close friends. And he would tell me all about his experiences with Paul and his escapades with Paul. And Hal Berry unfortunately passed away back in 2005. But what a dear man. And so, no, I never got to meet Paul Lynde. And it's so weird that um, my career sort of paralleled his with the Hollywood Squares in the 80s for me. And I was sort of like the Paul Lynde of the 80s, ep- on that particular Hollywood Squares,
That's right. You were
which is
absolutely. Yeah,
a huge compliment. I take that as a huge compliment.
absolutely, as you should. And again, you were all over the game shows of the day, Battle Stars, and you mentioned Match Game and Body Language as well, everywhere. So perfect for two, and the new version of I've Got a Secret, and just, I
Yeah.
mean, so many great ones too. And then, of course, comes Super Sloppy Double Dare with another great guy who was with us recently, Mark Summers. How did you enjoy doing that, filling in and being a part of that?
Oh, of course
Yeah, I
I
could
have.
tell. Yeah,
I mean, it was, you know, uh, again, it was insanity, and
yeah,
they said, whatever you do, go with it.
just do it.
Just do it. And the kids, because I really, was just a bigger kid. I had their energy, and and it was just such a great, fun, wonderful experience. I really And Mark Summers is just such a sweet man, and I've known him for, oh my God, since before the earth cooled.
Before you took on another great venture, Worst Cooks in America.
Which we just lost Amber Rell, and
I
she was my,
know.
yeah, she was my chef on that.
Yes.
And that was, there I am with Tanya Harding. And
Yes, that's right.
yeah, Tanya won. uh we had It was intense. Those
Yeah.
shows are not easy to do because you're just on your feet like 15, 16 hours, and you're cooking. And if you're not cooking, you're listening to, your chef talk to you about what you're going to be doing. It was an incredible experience, and I learned so much, but I've forgotten a lot of it. But I for a while I felt like a pretty good chef.
Do you like to cook, Jim? Do you have a specialty? Are you always in the kitchen putting things together? Is that something that brings you joy and pleasure?
Yeah, I do like to cook. I'm not fancy schmancy, but I think I'm a pretty good cook because I like food, and I know what tastes good, and so yeah, there's a
What's
joy in it for me.
what's if we came over for dinner, what would be a dish that you would make, or that would be a signature Jim Bullock dish?
Oh well, anything in a crock pot. Crock
Oh
pots are
yeah,
great. Slow
I
cookers
love
are
it. Yeah.
fabulous because you can just throw all that stuff in there
Hmm.
and leave it. Like I said, I'm not really great with meats. I'm better with chicken. Fish, not so great with. I do a nice salmon, but
Mm.
I really, seafood. I love seafood, but I I don't really prepare seafood a lot. So yeah,
That's
I'm
yes.
basically, you know I make incredible mashed potatoes.
Oh, that's my thing. That's the Irish in me. The mashed potato. How do you do it? Because I'm a
Oh,
mashed potato guy.
oh,
Oh,
it's got everything from buttermilk to rosemary to garlic to sour cream to cheese to cream cheese to, I mean, chive, everything you can put in there. Dude, it's
No
It's
wonder why you
real.
worked out at the gym with Judy Tenuta.
No, it in itself is pretty intense, but they're really good, and I get lots of compliments on my mashed potatoes.
It's the best comfort food, right? We're talking about, that
Always,
that's when you're not too close for comfort, for sure. When
yeah,
you have
yeah.
those mashed potatoes. Great movies too, as well. Just going down memory lane a little bit that you've been a part of as well. Role play and Circuit, and of course, 10 Attitudes and
Chase.
Kissing Jessica Stein, another great one too, and Get Your Stuff. Really cool stuff that you've been a part of. Switch as well. That was a great role in
Oh
that,
my
huh?
God. I have to tell you, Switch. I just went on Google to try to
Yeah.
find Switch because
Yeah.
first off, I don't ever get a residual from Switch. So it's
Nothing,
never
huh?
played anywhere. No, I swear to God. I mean,
Wow.
Spaceballs is it's everywhere and I get checks all the time. It's really lovely. But Switch, I don't think I've ever gotten a check for Switch. So it's not playing anywhere. And Blake Edwards. That was Blake Edwards. And again, that was an audition that I went in for Blake Edwards, and much like the Mel Brooks, audition, I just was all over the place, and I left the audition, and my telltale sign is you have your script, you have your sides, and when you leave the audition, you either save the sides because you feel like there's a chance they might call me back, or you throw them in the garbage. And the moment I walked out of his office, I threw my sides in the garbage. I went, I will not be getting this role. They will not be calling me back. So, cut to like 2 months later, my agent calls me and says, "Oh, you got that part you went on last week." I went, "What part?" She goes, "That Blake Edwards." I said, "That was 2 months ago." She goes, "Well, you got it." So I didn't remember what I did. I didn't know anything about it. So, long story short, I get to the set and I'm called in, and my scene is with Joe Beth Williams, who I have to say, Beth Williams was the nicest, kindest lady to. Because Blake Edwards come up and he says, "Okay, we're gonna do a rehearsal. Go, action." So he just walks around doing this, and doesn't give me any advice, and we're going to do a take. And Joe Beth says, can I give you a little advice? And I said, "Oh my God, yes." And she goes, "Bring it down, bring it way down." She goes, "I think you're going to be happier if it's so big. I think you're going to be happier." And so, on her advice, I brought it way down, and we did a take, and that was it. And that's what went in the film. And I'm so glad that he told me that because film acting is so much different from even sitcom acting and certainly stage acting. And someone who's as crazy as me, I'm just like blah, blah, and it's just too much. So because of Joe Beth Williams, I think I am tolerable in that movie. Switch. I'd love to see it again though after all these years.
So when you're filming that and you're working with Blake Edwards, did Julie Andrews come twirling in the room?
No, I would have loved
Oh,
that.
yeah. In
Oh
case
my
people didn't know,
God.
they were Julie Andrews and Blake Edwards were husband and wife for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time. Uh, you were in something else, which I remember very well because I was at the screening at the cinema in New York with mutual friends, Mel England, and that's Ron
Oh,
and Laura Take Back America. Mel's a dear friend, and Neil Rubenstein and the whole group. And we were all there together. Actually, this was at the cinema in New York. There is Sue and Jennifer, Mel and Neil and myself. And
oh,
this was when
yeah.
you were a part of, which was really, really cool. Uh, Bob Zachy and Ron and Laura Take Back America. How did this happen? This was great.
Again, I was called and offered the role. I didn't have to audition for this, and so
No, yeah.
they hired me, and it was great. And it's funny, I'm because I haven't thought of this film in a long time, and just Bob Mackie. Since I've
Right.
moved here to the Valley, I've become acquaintances, and I might dare say even friends with Bob Mackie. And I've never even remembered to tell him that I played Bob Zachy in this film, Ron and Laura Take Back America, which if I, see him again next time, I'll have to say, hey, I did a really bad impersonation of you in a film.
But you were funny. You nailed it. It was a hilarious version. It was really really terrific. Also involved in Queer Duck the movie and lending
Yes.
your talent and voice, and you love doing that. And how'd that come your way?
Oh, Queer Duck was fantastic. I auditioned for Queer Duck, and I went in with a sea of actors. I mean, there were so many
Oh
people
yeah.
that auditioned for this. And this is back in, like, I'm going to say 2001 or two or three or something like that. And and I got it. And boy, did I love voiceover work. And I was always hoping that this would open up the door to me for more voiceover work, because voiceover is the way to go, because you don't have to care about what you look like. You just kind of go into the studio and put your stuff down. Nowadays, you have your home studio, so you don't even need to go into the studio. But I loved the energy of being there with all those voiceover actors that were so terrific, and being around microphones and being able to create something so specific with just your voice. It was so thrilling to get to do that. And Mike Reese wrote it, and it was just, his writing was, incredible, so funny, and it had a nice life. And then it went on Showtime, and then they did the movie, and then it kind of went away. It never came back.
Just went into Never Land for a little bit there, right?
It's
But
okay.
but
It was
you
great to do it.
it was great to do it, and you never leave any dust where you go, because you move on to so many other things, including Hairspray as Wilbur. What was it like being a part of that? And I mean, another great, taking on Broadway, taking on the stage. You have touched us in so many different areas of entertainment, my friend. This must have been a joy.
Well, Hairspray was an
Hmm.
incredible experience, and I had just turned 50, and I was in a one of those deserts in your career where nothing's happening and no one's hiring you, and it's sort of like you're yesterday's news, and you can't get a job, and it was very frustrating. And I had a manager at the time, Ryan Glasgow, who was terrific, and he contacted the Kelsey casting, and this is when Harvey was leaving. It was the second year of it on Broadway. It was already a mega hit, and he thought I'd be great as Edmund. And so anyway, I put myself down on tape and I sent it in, and through a series of auditions and callbacks and going to New York and this and that, I was hired to go into Broadway and do the role I started with was Mel Authority, who is a crazy role where you play multiple characters. You play Mr. Pinky and Mr. Spritzer, and you're the principal, and you're just running around, and wigs are being thrown and taken off of you. And then I went on tour, and I was Wilbur, and so Wilbur was such a great role, and I loved doing Wilbur. And then a couple of years later, I auditioned for Edna, and I got to do Edna in several different productions. So I'm an amphibian turnblad, because I am male, female. you know, I am both characters that I've gotten to do. I don't know that there's a lot of actors out there that have played both Wilbur and Edna.
You're exactly right. But whatever the role is, you're able to take it on and knock it out of the park. You're ambidextrous, my friend, in so many ways. Kinky Boots, too, of course, came
Yeah,
your way, which was another fantastic one in the national
such a
tour.
great show.
Absolutely right. And what a blast to be a part of that and working with that. For folks that are watching, we're talking television and film and being on stage doing comedy the early years, the intensity and soap opera, the intensity of being on stage, night after night, Broadway or national
Yeah.
touring from city to city. it is it can be grueling, fabulous, and exciting, but it takes a lot out of you.
It is 8 shows a week is hard. It's really hard, recreating that 8 times a week. It's all fun and games, when you're rehearsing and I was like, the show opens and it's like, oh my God, that was so much fun. But then you have to repeat that every performance for 8 shows a week, weeks upon end. And it is a very challenging thing for someone like me because I get bored easily. But it was also a great learned discipline. And getting to do Broadway was something that initially I thought I would get to do Broadway when I was a kid, and then that ship sailed, and I went, I'm never going to get to do Broadway. And then here I am at 50, getting to do Broadway, and not only I had done off Broadway. There's a big difference between off Broadway and Broadway, and then to come back and get to do Hairspray when it was a mega hit, when it was the show to see in New York City, was just thrilling, just so very thrilling.
I can only imagine. And, is there a autobiography, a memoir in the offing, or is that something that I'm sure a million people have asked you to do that, right?
Yeah, I have several people that always encourage me to uh, you write a book or something. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
It's your lived story, right? Exactly. You don't have to if it's something you want to, and when the time is right, I know people will read it and people will be inspired. You've been very open about your life too, and very inspirational to so many people, not just as an actor and comedian and a wonderful talent, Jim, but just being real and open about your life. You've been on, Oprah, Where Are They Now, and Each True Hollywood Story, and things of that nature, looking at the life of celebrities and things they go through. And you've been very open and about, love and loss and getting through life. And I think it's beautiful how authentic and real and open you've been. Um, and it's inspiring because there's others that may watch and see, look at Jim J. Bullock. He's a star. He's done all these wonderful things. He's been everywhere, but he's a human and he bleeds and he loves, and we have loss and all these things that happen. We go through things, and sometimes we go off into a different tangent. We then hopefully lift and rise out of it. And you've been very good about sharing and being open. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Not everybody does that, but it's just, I think, who you are. And I know you've probably had a lot of people who've written to you or bumped into you and know you from television, film, and stage and say, I love all of that. But when you have shared your own personal stories, triumph, tragedy, all of it, that's what really touched me, Jim. I'm sure you've heard that a lot over the years.
I have, and um, that's the most wonderful compliment I can get from anyone is when they say, I saw in you something that I related to, and it helped me get through a really time like being gay when you're younger. And I think about Paul Ann, and I think part of the reason on a subconscious level I connected with him because he was a gay man. I didn't even know I was gay. I mean, but I knew something was askew, And so,
Did the
um,
family know, or
uh,
was this later on this was
oh
mentioned?
no, but I mean, come on, my family. If they would have had to have been, completely deaf, dumb, and blind not to know that I was gay. I was so, I was so very gay when I was a little boy. I sort of butched it up when I got into my teenage years, which you know how that was because you saw that with Too Close for Comfort. So it's like that was butch. But you know what? I just pretty much anyone who knew me knew, um, what side of the toast I butter, you know. So, but to have had someone who was famous, like a Paul Lynde, or, and it was a different time. It was, Charles Austin Riley and people like that. They could not be open. That was not even brought up back then, which is added to my shame. And so for people to say, I was at my wit's end and I saw you and I connected to you, as silly as you were or whatever. But I went, if that guy can go out and make something of his life, then I can too. That's really the most amazing thing that can be said. And, just, you know, I feel like that's the most important thing.
It is, because of all of the work that you do. You have the notoriety, you have the voice, you have the platform, but at the same time, you treat it with tender, loving care, and sharing the story and inspiring other people, which I think is a beautiful thing. Has motivational speaking ever been something you've thought about along the way? I mean,
you know, uh, I'm
not
so bad at that. I am
just
so bad.
focusing and just
I am.
yeah.
I'm bad at it. Yeah, it's not something that comes easily to me. So I would
Yeah,
need some training if I were going to do
to
that. But
to be that you know when you look at it all, kid Wyoming and then Odessa, Texas, and all. um, what are some of the things that stand out for you? Now, people have their Jim J. Bullock favorites, but for Jim J. Bullock, what are some of the things throughout your life uh, and your career that are your personal favorite moments, things that really meant something deeply to you? And it might not even be what people think or they've seen you do. Then again, it might be. But what are some of those things that really are those things that meant a great and still mean a great deal to you today?
wow. Well, some of these moments people know of. I mean, because of I'll never forget, like, one of the most exciting moments of my life was when I was taken on as a regular on Too Close for Comfort. And it was a phone call from my agent, and it was between filming, when we had done this afternoon taping, and then the audience is loaded in and we do the evening taping. And my agent called me at the studio because no one had cell phones back then. We all had landlines, and there was a landline at the studio. And my agent called me and said, "Hey, um, I just want to let you know, I just got off the phone with ABC, and they're bringing you on as a regular, and you're going to be in every episode. Or if you're not in every episode, you're going to be paid for every episode." So it was like that was probably one of the uh, happiest moments in my career that I can remember. I mean, there's just, there's uh, so many moments. There was a moment with Ted that, that it was a moment where he had gotten really upset with me, and I got really upset with him, and I never really. I've always been afraid to, like, voice my opinion. I'm not. Uh, I'm not a good debater. I don't stand up for myself a lot, And I was in the right, I felt, with Ted, and I stood up against him, and he was not used to that. This was in our 6th year, so worked together for 6 years, and uh, so he saw a side of me that he'd really never seen before. And we got through the day, and he was like, "We're done." And so I went up to him and I said, "I need to talk to you." And he goes, "No, we don't need to talk." And I said, "No, I really need to talk to you, Ted." And he said, "We don't need to talk, Jim." And so I pulled him into a hallway and I said to him, "Ted, you are a father figure to me. I love and admire you so much. And I just want you to know that I, uh, I have, I'm not trying to one up you or anything. It was just this really wonderful moment. And he was so uncomfortable. And I grabbed him and I hugged him. I hugged him really hard. And he was so uncomfortable with that. But you know what? Uh, he died shortly after that. And uh, I was so grateful that I got to say to him that I loved him, because you don't say that to your fellow castmates. I mean, certainly not Ted Knight. And and the fact that I made him hear me, and I made him feel me, you know. And when I said I loved you, and holding him so dearly, and uh, I'll never forget that. That was a moment that I cherish, and I'm so grateful I did that. I'm so grateful I had the balls to do that at that time, and not suck it up like I'd always done.
It's a beautiful thing that you did not only for yourself, but for him as well, because he probably wasn't somebody who was necessarily able to show the emotion, maybe on screen when the cameras are rolling, but maybe he just wasn't somebody who knew how to take it or accept it or handle it or how to give it back. That's why he was perfect for Ted Baxter on Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, very.
This is probably a little bit of Ted Baxter that was in him. How much Monroe on Too Close for Comfort was Jim and Jim Monroe?
Oh, very much. A lot. It was very much where I was at the time. I was, I'm not innocent, but my green, my lack of experience and worldly knowledge was very apparent, and I was very naive. In many ways, I still am naive, but I'm on the wise. But Monroe was so naive and innocently naive and sweetly naive, and that was very much a part of me. Um, so Monroe was not a big giant stretch for me to play. Uh, they were always like, get the voice up, get the voice up, because I had a cold the first week we shot, and my voice was way I don't even can't even do it anymore. But I have a resonance to my voice, but the resonance had gone, so I was way up here. I sound like Clark Kent, being Clark Kent. And anyway, they were always like for years going, get the voice up, get the voice up, and it was like, oh God. And finally, like in the fourth season, the voice dropped, and it was like, this is what it is.
Actually, you have a great, deep, resonant sounding voice that if people only saw you on Too Close for Comfort and they're hearing you now, they're like, holy cow, what a voice. This guy should be a DJ on the radio or something. You do have a really good low, you know, sound to you, which is really, really cool. And that's why the voiceover work, like you say, is not only lucrative, but it's fun because you can use the voice and play with the voice and create
Oh,
these characters. And it's cool stuff. Speaking of characters, my little segue must have been very interesting that, of all these great things, you were also had some time on Roseanne. That must have been a very interesting set and environment.
yeah, that was an interesting week. Again, that was something that I was offered, and it was Roseanne's Halloween episode, and it was a spoof on Rosemary's Baby, which I just actually watched a couple of weeks ago because it'd been so long since I'd seen such a great film. It holds up really well, but it was a spoof on Rosemary's Baby, and so. Yeah, it was the last, I'm gonna say that like in the last seasons of that show for her, and it was really not a happy set. I mean, boy, she was feared, and I feared her. I mean, everyone that was on that show, but that was a great episode because of Marlo Thomas, it was the Ab Fab Girls, it was Mo Gaffney, it was all these incredible, wonderful performers and that I got to work with. But it was she ruled by fear, and I don't work well with fear. I don't like fear.
No, not at all. Right. Um,
No.
but a learning experience, I'm sure, witnessing it all. Are there people that you wish you got a chance to work with or would like to work with, and maybe other genres uh, of entertainment and the arts that you haven't tapped into yet, Jim?
You
I like
know,
that. Let me
I'm
think about that. I like that.
no, I mean, I'm not ambitious anymore. I'm more or less retired.
You're in a
I'm
sweet
very
spot. You're
I'm
right.
very comfortable. I'm I make enough money. I don't have crazy mone, but
No, the
I
neighbors
make
stop by and give you 100. I mean, that's not
hey,
bad.
I'll take it.
Look at that.
You know, so no. I mean, I always thought that maybe there might be yet another TV opportunity for me, like another role in a sitcom or
Mm,
our game show or something, you
yeah,
know.
you'd be
Uh,
perfect.
so I'm not saying that that's over for me because, just when you think it is over, it's not over. But I'm very grateful for what I have had. I've had such a fantastic ride, ups and downs, but it's just been more than I ever imagined. So if there's more, then it would totally be uh, icing on the cake.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, I know coming on the Jim Masters show has been a pinnacle in your career. You've wanted to be on for years, and I'm touched by that and honored and blessed by that, Jim. I know that it means so much, and it means so much to us. So that's really, I'm going to take this with me forever. Um, you know, did the family get a chance to see the success and your joy and contentment your family?
Yeah, I think so. My mom and dad, they were so proud of me and with my '80s life, with Two for Hollywood Squares. They were around during the Tammy Faye Show, which they kind of weren't too happy about me being so open about my life. But my folks were very proud of me, and they loved me, and in spite of whatever they had been told with their faith, that never got in the way of their love. So I had a fabulous upbringing. I had fabulous parents that were not perfect and were not educated, but they were intelligent people, and they brought me and my brothers and my sister up in loving environments. And I'm so grateful for the foundation of faith that they gave me because that has sustained me in my life.
That's the thing that I learned about you that I think is a beautiful thing you've had. How fabulous that is, right? Because there's a lot of people that are in these kinds of industries that we're in where there isn't that foundation, there isn't that support system, there isn't that thing to go back to when times are frustrating, crazy, unpredictable, scary, whatever it may be, and you don't have the grounding. And you were blessed to have the grounding placed in the home early. So no matter what you were doing or where you were or what was the task of the day for you in Hollywood and everywhere else, you could still call upon certain things that were there, that were resident, resilient, and strong to get you through things that are thrown your way, right? And it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, it is a beautiful thing, and I'm very grateful for it. Um, yeah, it's just given me some stability, where otherwise it would kind of just be flopping like a flounder on the pavement.
Well, initially you were considering being, a preacher. Is that something that at all in any way you had considered later on pursuing or going into in any way?
No, I don't think I don't think that. I don't think that. I don't think anyone needs that. But uh, No, I don't have a calling for that, but
Bullock's
no,
bullet
I,
points.
yeah, yeah. I'm active in my church, and I'm
You are, yeah.
the host in my church,
That's
and
wonderful.
so that's enough. That's enough. That's
That's it. You do it, right?
yeah,
You,
right.
yeah. So you're in a sweet spot. You're content. You've done so much. You're grateful for it, thankful for it, and life is good right now for you. And I know the people watching, a lot of people watching around the world, they've been commenting. They say you look like $1,000,000. Jim looks so great, and we love Jim. We watched him on here. A
Oh,
lot of comments coming in. We thank everybody for them. But you're in a content spot and you've worked very hard, Jim. I mean, you're everywhere, omnipresent. You're one of those people who took these roles and made the best of it. And you wanted to be on the sitcom, and look what happens early on in your career. You're on a major sitcom, and the rest is history.
yeah.
But it's a good place to be right now, isn't it, Jim?
It's a great place to be, and I'm grateful that I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I can see that, and that I can that I'm not envious or jealous or that I didn't get enough. I got enough. I got plenty, and I'm grateful for that.
So when you're not wallpapering, what's the other one or two things you like to do? What does Jim like to do to detach, get away from it all, reboot, unplug as you're wallpapering? What other things does Jim like to do? Cooking,
Well, you
making mashed potatoes.
Yeah, yeah, I like to entertain, but one of the things that since I've moved down here and I've sort of kind of retired is volunteering. And volunteering is not just for older people. Like I'm old now. I mean, I'm 70, so it's like But I when you do retire and you're not chasing the game anymore. It's like you got to have something to do with your life. So I have really gotten involved with some great organizations. Uh, I do a feeding of the homeless every Saturday, and we buy and prepare and serve to like 300 homeless people every Sunday, every Saturday. Um, I volunteer at a cat shelter.
That's cool. That's great.
uh,
That's beautiful. Yeah.
for cats. I'm an
That's sure.
animal. I
Hmm.
love animals and much prefer the company of animals. you know,
I know what you
uh,
mean, right?
um, and I'm
Right.
blessed to have two fabulous animals.
How old are they?
Barney, and Saturday will be my year anniversary with Barney because I rescued him in the middle of the highway last July 5th.
Oh, wow.
Literally, it was 124 degrees, the hottest day on record in the
Hmm.
Coachella Valley, and this
Mm.
little dog was running down the middle of the highway, and I was the lucky one who got him. Several people were trying to catch him, and I got him, and he's been in my life. I never thought I'd have a dog. I've always had cats. So Barney is 2 or 3, they're not sure. Sandy is 5, and I've had her now for 3 years. I had a cat before her that was 23.
Wow.
23.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always had cats. I've never had dogs because dogs are like boyfriends. They're too much work.
A lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work. So, but I tell you, Barney has brought me a joy in my life that I never even knew I was missing.
Hmm. You see how that happens? There was meant to be. You were driving down that road at the right time, and there was Barney, and there were you, and you were meant for each other. And that's just
Yeah,
destiny. That was meant to
yeah,
happen. You're a
yeah.
caring soul coming along in your car, and there's this dog aimlessly wandering around with nowhere to go. And here comes, Jim J. Bullock.
Yeah, he would have been roadkill. He would have
Yeah.
died from the heat, if nothing else. I mean, that was horrible. But he was literally in the middle of the road. So, yeah, great. He chose me. He stopped my car.
I think if there is another series, they should do an update, and I think it should be wrapped around you. And instead of too close for comfort, it should be not too close for comfort, because I think that's really who you are. You know what I mean? Write that down. Because that's who you are, and it's just You would. I'm similar, kindred spirits. There's no way I could drive by that dog and see the dog wounded or just aimlessly. I'd be saying, let's stop the car. What's going to happen to the dog? May get hit and it's just the essence of who you are, my friend. And you're really a terrific conversationalist, a wonderful talent, a great guy, legend in the industry. Yes. But you're also as much as you're animated and passionate, enthusiastic, you're also very humble and you're gracious. And I think that is a beautiful thing for people to see when they see all of the fabulous zaniness that has entertained us all these years, but also to see that the guy behind all that is a big-hearted soul who really is empathetic, compassionate, and caring, and loves what he does and loves entertaining and putting smiles in people's lives and in their lives and on their faces and inspiring them. And you've done that many years and continue to, my friend. And I wish you nothing but continued joy and blessing in your life. And we're going to keep as I say to all the guests, the proverbial porch light on for you. You are welcome back at the Jim Master Show anytime, my friend. And I really, really hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
I did. You're a terrific interviewer, and thank you for having me on your show. And I would love to come back and be on your show. So please, yes, yes.
Absolutely. And when you do, bring the mashed potatoes. I got to try them. The Irish in me says, got to have Jim's mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Gotta have them.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Gotta
have them. I hear you.
Gotta get your stuff. Jim, thanks for all the time and also the generosity of time. You really are a gentleman. And come see us again. Spread the word about our show. Congratulations on everything and continuing a life well lived. And I wish you nothing but the very best. And I really appreciate all the time here on the show as a wonderful guest as you are.
Thank you, Jim. God bless you.
You as well, my friend. God bless you too. And you take care and have a wonderful holiday weekend. And we'll chat again soon. Okay. Let's stay in touch. All right.
Okay, Jim. Sounds great.
Take care now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Right. Go have some mashed potatoes and finish the wallpaper.
I'm going to.
He's going to.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Isn't he terrific? I tell you, everything that you would have thought when you saw him on not just Too Close for Comfort, but also all these other movies and shows. And there he is, Prince Valium. Great stories behind the scenes, too, of working with all the legends, all of the other fabulous people along the way, but also, about his life, too. And wow, he started out wanting to be a preacher, family of faith, and then comedy came his way, and he was at the Comedy Store in LA and got noticed, and all of a sudden they pluck him out of that world and he's on a major television series like Too Close for Comfort with Ted Knight and just the whole gang, Nancy Dussault and Lydia Cornell and Audrey Meadows, and just all really amazing, and playing the fabulous role of Monroe and a little bit of Monroe and Jim and Monroe. And of course, he was terrific on that show, very animated, very funny, always razzing Ted Knight. And we talked, of course, about the relationship with Tammy Faye Baker Mesner. You may remember, you might not have known that there was that talk show, the Jim J and Tammy Faye Show. I remember seeing it. It was a daytime talk show. And Seinfeld. I mean, just Alf. Interesting story about Alf, working on Alf. All the game shows, if you ever see the reruns of the game shows, like on Game Show Network or GSN, as they call it now, or Buzzer, you can see all of these. And now, many of you know John Davidson is a dear friend of ours, and he's been on our show several times. He was just on recently, too. And Jim J was on Hollywood Squares during those years. John was hosting and Match Game. And of course, Mark Summers was a guest on our show recently, too, from Double Dare, and lots more. Matter of fact, he just had a Broadway show, The Life and Slimes of Mark Summers, in New York, which was a hit. Mark's a great guy. This is when Jay Bullock hosted and Mark did the announcing. They sort of switched. body language, and I've got a secret, and oh yeah, and some great stories about worst cooks in America being a part of that. All the great movies and so much more. And this, we didn't show him this, but here he is with our dear friend Harlan Bowl. There's Jim J. Bullock, and there's Jerry Mathers, the Beav, Leave It to Beaver, and all three fabulous friends there in Hollywood. And if you didn't see the episode where Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver was a guest on our show, go back in the archives. He is wonderful. I got a chance to meet him as well here on the East Coast. Jerry Mathers, what a terrific guy. Warm, funny, real, kind, caring. He's just all three gentlemen you're seeing in this photo are terrific, stellar people. Harlan, Jim, and Jerry, and just really wonderful guy. Terrific guy, Jim J. Bullock. And now you got a chance to hear a little bit more about his background and his life from his words, not other people telling you about him, Jim telling you about himself. And that's what we do. We have conversations here at the Jim Masters Show, not just interviews. Like to have warm conversations that are free-flowing, unscripted, real, authentic, warm, funny. We go in so many different directions. We go down memory lane with our guests and sort of remind them of the incredible things they've done. We bring you guys in as well. I sort of throw in a little spice, connecting with the guest as well about some of my experiences living on planet Earth and my, time in television and radio and film as well. And we connect the dots, and it's a wonderful experience to do this series for all of you. And I thank everybody who has been commenting as well. And really wonderful seeing everybody and all these comments from around the world, a lot of new viewers as well. And we want to acknowledge two people who actually went the extra mile on this episode, which was a beautiful thing. Right now, if you're watching this later in the archives, we are doing it live, and then it's being recorded so you can see this again and again and again. But sometimes when we're live, our viewers around the world want to show their support for the Jim Masters Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, which we really thank them for. And two that have done that beautifully in the Irish Green, Maureen Wiedepal in Arizona. Thank you very much for those beautiful, beautiful words. And yes, Jim J. Bullock is a wonderful human being. And thank you for your support of our series and sharing your words about Jim and about our show and our series. And she's in Arizona, Maureen, and Kathleen is in New York City. These are very tried and true fans, viewers, supporters of the Jim Masters Show. And we really thank them and everybody who watches and comments and likes and shares and supports. And Kathleen in New York, thank you for your beautiful words as well and your support of our show while the show is live right now. That's very kind of you and very generous of you guys and everybody who's been commenting and all these beautiful, beautiful words that are coming in here. Thank you, Joni, saying what a great interview. Thank you very much, and wonderful conversation. Bringing back some memories and getting a chance to celebrate with the incomparable, the one and only is how we said it in our pre-promotion, because really, truly, Jim J. Bullock is one of a kind and a great guy, big heart, super talent. He's been on our televisions and stages and in movies for several decades now. He said he's 70 at the time of the show. He does not look 70. He looks like he's 42. He's spirited. He's gone through a lot in his life. He's been very, very open, about his life, and he was on, Oprah, Where Are They Now? And True Hollywood Story and all those kinds of shows. But, he's been very inspirational to a lot of people as well, which I think is terrific. And, when you see people in Hollywood or, in movies and television, film, stage, and sometimes you always think that life is always perfect and everything is always great and glitzy and glamorous and everything is just flowing beautifully and people just walk in the room and everything is always set up for them and they don't have to do any work. Not really the case. As Jim outlined here as a guest on our show, a lot of work behind the scenes to do all of these things, to put it together. So when you are watching, enjoying the entertainers and all of the product that they create. You don't have to worry about all the chaos that went on behind the scenes to put it all together. That's what they do, and that's why somebody like a Jay Bullock is a master of his craft. Very humble too, like I said earlier. A lot of energy. He lights up the room when he comes in, but he's somebody also who's very humble too, very kind. Yeah, I know you're saying bring him back, have him back on the show. We will have him back on. We always have the door open for all of our guests. And when our guests come on the show, they can come on the show for as long as they want. It's a free-flowing conversation. If they have 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, hour, however long they want, they got to come and go, fine. If they want to chit chat with us, have a cup of coffee, that works too. And I'm glad you guys are here for the ride. It really means the world that you're here with us, everybody, on the Jim Masters Show, these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and all of these amazing celebrity friends and guests. We talked about Judy Tenuta, who is with us as well. There's several people that are friends and have been friends of Jim's who are friends of mine as well. It is really a small world in these industries. And again, we thank Jim J. Bullock joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. Really, truly a class act and a genuine talent and a legend in the industry, but also a good guy. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. And all these guests we've had on of late. Did you see the episode with Rex Smith? Yes. He was terrific. I mean, so many great people and many, many, many more wonderful people that you know from television, film, stage, music, sports, culinary arts, Broadway, life, coming your way right here on JMS for all of you. Now, little homework. If you did enjoy this episode, we would love it if you would give this episode a thumbs up like on the YouTube channel. That means a lot. We don't try to ask often. It's just that it does help our show reach many more people when you click like, the thumbs up like on the YouTube channel. Share this link from our YouTube channel right there on your social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and drop a comment below, right down there. Drop a comment and let us know what you enjoyed about this episode. What are some of your favorite shows and movies and episodes of Too Close for Comfort or anything that Jim has been in? Let us know what you enjoy about our show and what you've enjoyed about Jim's career and all of these incredible things he's been a part of in our lives. He's really continued to leave us with a body of work that is extraordinary. And he makes mashed potatoes and he wallpapers his walls in beautiful Palm Springs, California. And his neighbors drop in and give him $100. Kind of sweet, huh? If you didn't see that earlier, that's what actually happened. A neighbor dropped by when he was on. He said, I'm doing an interview right now. The guy was coming in the house and Jim's talking to me and he's in his house in Palm Springs and the neighbor gives him $100. I'm like, my God, I want that set up. If you didn't see that, watch this again because it happened in the beginning of our show and it was hilarious. All right. Wow. You had double Jims here, Jim Masters and Jim J. Bullock on the show. And we certainly hope that you enjoyed it. Again, come see us again. We love having you here. We've recently celebrated an anniversary here on our show. And we've had so many wonderful guests who've been sharing their words about at the time of the show. Now, actually, it was back in early May when we hit our 5th anniversary. So some of the amazing celebrity friends and guests were joining us in our 5th anniversary celebration episode. They shared so many wonderful words about their time with us here on the show, like the incomparable actress from The Hills Have Eyes, Susan Lanier.
Hi there. I'm Susan Lanier, best known for starring in Wes Craven's The Original, The Hills Have Eyes, as well as other comedy TV shows and music. And I just wanted to say congratulations to Jim Masters. 5 years of the Jim Masters Show, 1,300 episodes is quite the accomplishment. I am so happy for you. I had so much fun doing your show. And thank you for inviting me to do it. And I really want you to ask me again. I look forward to doing the next one. Again, Jim, congratulations.
So beautiful. She's a wonderful soul too, and we really thank her for those words. You know who also has been a guest on our show several times? The incomparable and wonderful loving duo of Linda Pearl and Patrick Duffy.
Hey,
Hey, Jim Masters, congratulations.
yeah, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, just more than a toddler.
Yeah. Have a wonderful next 5 and 50 years ahead of you, and thank you so much for having swell people, including us,
Yeah.
on your show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you, Linda and Patrick. Also, you know, somebody who's a friend of ours and our show and a great friend of Jim J. Bullock's is the wonderful, incredible Glenn Scarpelli. You know, from One Day at a Time. He's been on our show many times. He's a big fan of the Jim Masters Show. We're a big fan of his. And he was at a gallery when he sent this along.
Hey Jim and everyone at the Jim Masters Show, happy anniversary! You're catching me today in Sedona at the Sedona Art Center, and I am judging the big gay art show here today, which is so fun. I got my little pride shirt on, and I just want to say, Jim, thank you for all the levity that you bring to the world. Thank you so much for bringing it to the Jim Masters Show and for having me on so many times. You did such beautiful tributes to our friends Peter Marshall and Wink Martindale recently. So happy to be a part of it. And every time you've had me on the show, it's been a delight. Because you, my friend, are a delight. Love you. Happy birthday and happy anniversary.
Another spirited soul as well, and all colorful there in the gallery. Glenn Scarpelli, and of course, talking about nostalgia, you know, and the shows from the 60s and the 70s and beyond. Another wonderful soul and a loving person who's been with us many, many, many times. And we're a big fan of hers. We've loved her ever since she played Sissy on Family Affair on CBS with Johnny Whitaker, who was also a guest on our show, and Brian Keith and Sebastian Cabot, that terrific series. Who we talk about? But of course, Anissa Jones was on the series too. Matter of fact, I had the Lost in Space robot, and my sister had Mrs. Beasley from Family Affair, the Mrs. Beasley doll. She had Mrs. Beasley. I had the Lost in Space robot. Speaking of the Mrs. Beasley world, we're talking about Family Affair and our friend Kathy Garver.
Time passes quickly when you're having fun. And Sissy from Family Affair and Firestar on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and my new role as Lucy in the film The Thing About Pickles, Kathy Garver, all wish Jim Masters Show a wonderful 5th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Jim.
Thank you, Kathy Garver. You know how small this world is? Kathy Garver was recently filming in Valparaiso, Indiana, the movie that she's talking about. And it was about 2 weeks after I was there with my professional work in television. We were doing a television news feature with a show that I do that's in New York City, TV news and radio series. And we were in Valparaiso. We were there just 2 weeks before Kathy was there filming. So we learned that each other was there, and I reached out and I said, we were just there. They call it Valpo. It's just southeast of Chicago in northern Indiana. And we were just the fact that she's in Valparaiso, Indiana, and then I was in Valparaiso, Indiana, just about 2 weeks before for TV projects. I mean, how ironic is that? She's a sweetheart. You know who is too? The lovely Tina Cole from My Three Sons and so much more.
Hi, Jim Masters. Tina Cole here in front of the Lincoln Civic Auditorium with the Lincoln Theater Company. We're doing our last performance of Death of a Salesman. Had to get that plug in. Anyway, thank you for 5 years of amazing interviews. I want to wish you all the best. You are the best.
You're the best, Tina. You've been with us several times. You're a joy and a delight, and we love having you here. We also love, who's also in Palm Springs, not far from where Jim J. Bullock is, with his wallpaper and all, our dear friend, Lucy Arnaz.
Hey, Jim, it's me, Lucy Arnaz. I just wanted to wish you congratulations on 25 years holy cow, I remember when you were just an anchor guy out on the street doing, people stories. And now here you are with your own fabulous show online, and you've interviewed everybody in the world, including me several times. And you've always been a fantastic support, always letting people know what I'm doing and my history. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We love you, and we wish you continued success. And how about 24, 25, or maybe 35 more years? Congratulations.
25. He was talking about the entire career and then some. But yeah, the show, it's a blessing. And having folks like this, really, I know you enjoy it too. You love seeing all these wonderful people here, these great stars and talents and friends, like the incredible Sean Kanan, also from The Bold and the Beautiful. Jim J. Bullock was on The Bold and the Beautiful too, the daytime drama. Sean Kanan was on The Bold and the Beautiful and General Hospital, and he was in The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and so much more. Great friend of our show, a cool guy, a really spirited guy. And here he is.
Hey everyone, it's Sean Kanan, and today we're celebrating a fantastic milestone, Jim Masters' 5th anniversary of the Jim Masters Show. Congratulations, Jim. Your dedication, sharing incredible stories, and connecting people is truly inspiring. And over the past 5 years, you've built a space that entertains and uplifts us all. Thank you for the joy and the inspiration that you bring to our lives, and here's to many, many more successful years of amazing content on the Jim Masters Show. Keep shining, Jim. Cheers to 5 wonderful years.
He's a great guy. He's such a big supporter, and we love having him here. Sean Caney, who also is a great friend of ours, Randy West. Randy West is a consummate entertainer and a lover of everything broadcasting and an amazing announcer. Many of the game shows over the years he's been an announcer on. He worked with Bob Barker on The Price is Right as an announcer, one of those golden voices. He's an East Coast New York kid originally who made good in Hollywood. It's wonderful. Randy West, one of the great voices in our industry and a dear friend of our show and of mine. And I'm blessed by that. And he wanted to be a part of it as well.
Hey, the clock tower from Back to the Future to mark the time that you've had your show. Jim Masters, 5 years. That's incredible. We're all so proud. Those of us who have participated in your programs, well, it was an absolute joy. You're such a great interviewer and listener and conversation. That's what it is you have. Unlike so many folks who are filling up the airwaves, you've had a tremendous conversation with some amazing people. I'm very proud to have been included. And marking your 5th anniversary, Randy West saying, come on down. We need more Jim Masters.
As only Randy can say it. We marked it way back in May, but we've been sprinkling some of these in towards the latter part of our episodes for those who didn't see the 5th anniversary episode, which you can still see archived. And just because these are such, joyful people who've been a part of our shows over the years, a legend, a wonderful actor, and he was in Superman, but also a heavyweight boxer as well, is the legendary Jack O'Halloran. What an amazing guy he is, and what a great conversation we had. He's been with us a couple of times, and he was with us just a few weeks ago. You can see that episode archived on the channel, but he wanted to be a part of it as well. And here's Jack.
Hi, this is Jack O'Halloran from the character Non of Superman 1 and 2. Happy anniversary, Jim. I really enjoyed doing your show. Anything I can ever help you with in the future, please let me know. Congratulations. Happy anniversary, Jim.
A true legend. And you know what happens? These guests, if I know them in advance, then they come on and we already know each other. We're friends and colleagues. But some come on the show and we end up becoming friends. They want to come back on the show. We love having them back on the show. And we become friends and we're rooting for one another. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'm really touched by that. I say it, I know, hopefully often enough so and the guests know how I really truly feel in hosting and producing this series for everybody. And I'm getting a kick out of it too. that it really means a lot when I hear these people and all of you, our faithful viewers and supporters, share what you share with me all the time, whether it's on the air during the shows, or many of you write and send things in quietly and privately, which we really appreciate as well, or you comment, in the comment section on our episodes, which we really appreciate as well. So kudos and thanks to everyone, including the lovely and talented, legendary music aficionado extraordinaire, Melissa Manchester.
Hi, Jim Masters. Melissa Manchester here, wishing you a heartfelt congratulations on the 5th anniversary of the Jim Masters Show. Commander of the Lovities, may you have a splendid celebration. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, Melissa Manchester, and another music legend who is a great guy and somebody that puts a smile on your face when you hear him singing, performing. He's a great guy. He's like Jim J. Bullock. He's the real deal. And, when you get a chance to know these folks, they are human, real. They have feelings. You may see them in roles on television, film, and stage, hear their music or whatever, and just have a certain image. And then you get to realize that they are people too. We all are people too, and we all need each other. And it's important to spread that message. And we talk about that a lot here on the show. How could I not include, which we did in the anniversary episodes, we're just sprinkling a few of these in as a gift for all of you while we're here together. How could I not have Tony Orlando?
Well, Jim Masters, 5-year anniversary. Congratulations. Let me just share this with you, okay? We're living in a podcast time. Hundreds of millions of podcasts. And I've had the opportunity to do many of those. I just want you to know that you made me welcome. You knew what you're talking about. We became friends from the very moment we started our interview, and we'll continue to be friends. I'm so happy for you. 5 strong years. And everybody I speak to, those people who watch the interview on your podcast, and my buddies and friends who have done your podcast, we all agree you're very special. Thank you for thinking of me and always having me part of your podcast. And anytime you ever need me, please call me or want me to be on. It's a privilege to be on your show. God bless you and continued success to one of the best in the industry. God love you, Jim. Congratulations. 5 big ones. Yes, sir.
I love the way he does that at the end. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Tony Orlando, and everybody. Just a few of the many that came in, and I'm really, really touched by that. And I want to share it with all of you because these folks you've seen come on our show. We've had so many good conversations and so many, poignant and beautiful moments and so many laughs with them. And they've shared their stories. They've opened their hearts here on the Jim Masters Show in so many deep ways that they didn't even know they were going to do. Me too, opening up about, my professional career and my world as well, and dreams and desires and accomplishments, and having fun with all of you. It's just beautiful. So, what a great show this has been. And again, kicked off with the wonderful Jim J. Bullock, and really, really nice. And I hope you enjoyed it. So, this was great. I think I'm going to go have a popsicle or something. I don't know. Now I'm craving Jim's mashed potatoes. Those who watch the Jim Masters Show often know this Jim loves his mashed potatoes too. A lot of times, as a matter of fact, I think I get that from my father. My father has always, at the table, big bowl of mashed potatoes that mom has made over the years. Her mashed potatoes are amazing too. And my father would always say, does anybody else want any more? Hoping that everybody would say no, so then the rest can go on his plate. I think that might have been, that and a few other things might have been passed down to this Jim from that Jim and the Jim before him, and all the Jameses in the family. Those mashed potatoes they're it. We're good. Give us mashed potatoes and we're golden. We're content. Gang, we love all of you. We really appreciate you being here. A reminder, you can follow us on all the social media as well, and Facebook, all the crazy places, right? Instagram, X, and Facebook. We're there at Jim Masters TV. The YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV. Come see us again. And as we always say, do not forget to love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. We are living in interesting times. Life has always been an interesting experience ever since it began, and can be unpredictable. Jim was very open about his life and sharing stories with us, and we try to do that here as often as possible with all of you. So we hope you love it. And again, love one another and take care of yourself as well. Take time to breathe from the diaphragm. Relax, and just enjoy. Jim J. Bullock's in a sweet spot. He's earned it. And I hope you are wherever you're watching around the world. Interact with us. Let us know. Stop by. Say hi. Tell everybody you know about our show. We love when you do that, and we appreciate when you do that as well. And one more time, a very dear thank you to Jim J. Bullock for being a part of our show here. What a great guy. All right. That's a wrap on this one. Come see us again. We're going to keep that porch light on for you as well, everybody. We love having you here. And can't they say that again and again and again? Enough, enough, enough. It's always a pleasure. And I love having these little chit chats with you. And I thank you for all the comments that have been coming in live as well. I've been seeing those, appreciating them as well. And they really mean the world to me and to us. So you be well. I'm going to keep that light on for you. Come join us right here again at the Jim Masters Show. And we'll be right here waiting for you with more great guests and conversation, free-flowing, unscripted, and bringing back the Lost Art of Conversation on JMS. You be well. We'll be right here waiting for you, and we love you all. Cheers.